Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the BlackBrazilToday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today I want to talk about a rapper that I've known about for a number of years. And as international as music has gone these days with, music sharing and streaming, platforms like Spotify, music is becoming more increasingly globalized. When I first got into music, when I started digging music that was outside the United States borders, there were a number of record stores in Metro Detroit where I could go and pick up international music. If they didn't have a certain artist from around the world that I was familiar with, I was just out of luck generally. But with the advent of the internet, everything's a lot easier. There's so many platforms you can go to check out artists from whatever country you want to. So Spotify has given Brazilian artists an international platform. Of course, most of their music is still going to sell in Brazil, but different from the United States, I think other countries around the world are more open to listening to artists from other countries, right? So this rapper I want to talk about today is one of the biggest selling Brazilian rappers, like on the Spotify platform. He's been getting international recognition as well as praise in Brazil, obviously. I'm talking about Baco Exu dos Blues. He's a rapper from Bahia. And he did an interview. Again, I don't always know when these interviews are recorded, but people share them and I pick up on it. And then I have to decide, like, hey, this is something I need to talk about because it fits in perfectly with the topics that I cover on this channel as well as on the blog. So in an interview recently, Baco Exu dos Blues, he said, in all the soap operas I saw in my life, the protagonist didn't look like me. Rapper Baco Exu dos Blues speaks on the traumas that racism creates. Okay. Obvious from everything he said, he touched on some topics that I talk about all the time on this channel. So before I get into this video today, definitely like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so that you'll find out when I put up videos as soon as I put them up. With that said, let's get directly into this video for today. So this is the rapper known as Baco Exu dos Blues. I have to talk a little bit about him. I've already done a couple of articles about him on the blog within I'd say the last 5 to 6 years. Head on over to BlackBrazilToday.com. Click on the name Baco Exu dos Blues, and you see the other material. I'm actually integrating a little bit of that material into today's article or video. So what I want to talk about in today's video is what he talked about. He brought this up again, the lack of Black representation in Brazil's media. How it refers to something that actor Samuel Assis said in a video I did a couple months back, how long it took him to come to see himself as being an attractive man. This is a struggle that a lot of Afro-Brazilians go through, men and women. It harks back to a video I did right around that same time, talking about how Afro-Brazilian men are finally coming to see themselves as being attractive. For years, it's been the standard in Brazil, and this is something that, to understand the context of what Black Brazilians are living through, Brazil is very Eurocentric in what it sees as being the best, as it's being the most attractive, the people of, upper middle class and upper class status, people in all the prominent jobs, the people who should represent Brazilians on television. For decades, this has always been represented by whiter looking Brazilians. And so on the flip side of that, Black Brazilians have always suffer from like a sort of low self-esteem. A number of Black Brazilians have spoken about this. I have just numerous interviews that I will put up where Black Brazilians are talking about this. And see, this is the thing that I want to point out, is because for years, Black men and women in Brazil have been pointing the finger at each other and accusing each other of having preferences for white partners in relationships. And realistically, you can't say it's one side or the other, because both sides have been affected by living in a country that has Eurocentrism as its values. Okay. So just in what I'm talking about, this video I did a couple of months back, 72% of Black men in Brazil are now considering themselves attractive, while only 58% of Black women see themselves the same way. So this is actually good news, even though Black women are still a little bit behind in that. But this goes to show What type of environment are they growing up in? It takes them so long to develop a self-esteem and an idea that they can be considered attractive, because Brazil never saw Black people as beautiful. The change of the self-esteem of Black Brazilians, Afro-Brazilians, this is something that we've been seeing particularly over the last 15 to 20 years, I'm going to say. This is the actor Samuel Assis that I was talking about, how a Eurocentric Brazil undermines the concept of Black beauty. I only saw myself as handsome after a lot of therapy. Okay. So all of this is what's coming out of what Baco Exu those Blues was talking about. I mentioned this in the intro, just talking about how his name, he's getting recognition around the world. He's done tours. He's been to Europe. He's traveled throughout Brazil. I want to talk a little. Okay, I'm quite sure most of you are trying to figure out what does his name mean. I'm going to get into all of that. But first, I want to talk about what it is that he said in this interview recently. Okay, so right now I'm going to overdub a segment of an interview that he did recently.
25 anos pra me achar linda
25 years for me to see myself as handsome. It's the pain. It's the hurt that I was talking about before, about the traumas that racism creates. Racism has a... Racism has a... It's all to blame for the self-esteem problems that I've had all my life. Like...
que eu vi na minha adolescência. O cara legal, o marido legal, o namorado
all the movies I saw when I was a teenager, the cool guy, the cool husband, the cool boyfriend didn't look like me. All the soap operas I saw in my life, the protagonist didn't look like me. I believe that Black women, I'm sure that Black women suffer exactly from this too. And to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, brother, it's us, Dad. Stay calm. Everything's fine with you. There's nothing wrong. Let's go up. It was 25 years. In fact, until I said F it with all of this. I look at myself and said, that's me and I'm important. That's it. I'm quite sure that the words of Baco Exu those Blues speaks a lot about how a lot of Black Brazilians feel. You know, he packed so much. I haven't watched the full interview, but just this like minute segment, it speaks volumes for where Black Brazilians, how they have been like raised in Brazilian society. You know, a lack of self-esteem is something that Black Americans revolted against way back in the 60s and the 70s. And this revolution in Black identity in Brazil is something that's really come up in the last couple of decades. So it speaks a lot to the reason why I created the blog and then the YouTube channel in the first place, because these are all things that I talk about. So let's talk a little bit about who he is first. Baco Exu dos Blues. He was born as Diogo Alvaro Ferreira Moncorvo. I've never heard this name, Moncorvo. Never heard that name before. Usually, you know, Brazilians have very common surnames, and in all the years I've been studying Brazil, I've never come across that surname, Moncorvo. So he was born in Salvador, Bahia on January 11th, 1996. He is a well-known Brazilian rapper, singer, and songwriter. Baco's rise to fame began with the release of the song Suicidio, written in partnership with the rapper Diomedes Chinaski rather. In the song, the rappers criticized the way in which Brazil's hip-hop scene remains heavily concentrated in the country's southeast region, specifically in the states of Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. As with so many genres of Brazilian society, Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro are something like America's New York and Los Angeles, in which people seeking more opportunities in life, and specifically in the entertainment business, migrate to these two cities. Another photo of Baco Exu dos Blues. Although Brazil's Northeast has long had a vibrant rap scene, most of the spotlight for artists remain in Rio and Sao Paulo, and to a lesser extent Minas Gerais, making it more difficult for rappers outside of this axis to get more shine. Rappers such as Baco and others have long demanded more visibility for rap music with a Northeast and North flavor. Baco's songs are heavily laced with his strong metaphors, uncut and poetic verses, which openly discuss power, religion, love, sex, with sharp criticisms of Brazilian society. It wasn't long before Baco's talents came to be recognized. In 2017, Baco Exu dos Blues received the Breakout Artist Award at the prestigious Brazilian Multishow Music Awards. During the same ceremony, his song Te Amo Desgraça was chosen as the Song of the Year by judges. This is the cover of I think this is his debut album. It's called Exu. All right. You notice this was kind of clever how he crossed off the J and the X, obviously, you know, reference to Jesus, and he just took the three letters in the middle. But who is Exu? Okay, we'll get into that in a minute. In 2017, Baco released his first solo album, Exu, to media acclaim, critical acclaim, you could say, as well as acceptance by Brazil's hip hop fans. The album draws upon numerous influences with its take on faith, death, love, and literature, even quoting legendary Brazilian authors such as writers Jorge Amado and Machado de Assis. Further cementing his popularity, Baco was also nominated for the 2017 Apca Awards in the categories for Breakthrough Artist, Song of the Year, as well as the Record of the Year. The song Te Amo Desgraça, one of the hits on the album, was awarded Best Rap Song by the Genius website through the 2017 Genius Brazil Music Award 2017. It was also voted the 5th best Brazilian Record of the Year by Rolling Stone magazine's Brazilian edition. Okay. So as I continue to introduce Baco to subscribers, I want to pause for a minute and discuss something that I'm sure many of you must be pondering. Where does his stage name, or his rap name, Baco Exu dos Blues, come from? Well, Diogo Moncorvo chose the stage name Baco Exu dos Blues in honor of the Roman god of wine and drunkenness. The name of this god in English is Bacos, while in Portuguese is Baco. The rapper also chose the name Exu in recognition of the African Orisha that is well known in the Brazilian religions of Candomblé and Umbanda. Of course, the blues part of his name comes from the musical genre created by Black Americans in the 19th century. So just to follow up with that, let me see if I can find, okay, right here. Go and check out this article I did in 2021. It just talks about Orishas, or African deities, Yoruba Orishas that are popular in the Brazilian religions of Candomblé and Umbanda. These deities of Nigerian origin, and their similarities with Greek mythology and syncretism with Catholic saints. Okay. It's a really intriguing article that I put up over here, just talking about the connections between the Yoruba Orishas and the saints and the gods in Roman and Greek mythology. Is something that's really intriguing. I'll have to feature that article one day, because mythology coming out of the Candomblé and the Umbanda, which traces its origins again to the Yorubas in Nigeria, it's one of those things that you really have to understand when you start dealing with Brazilian society. We can connect Exu with the mythical god Hermes. He's considered a messenger. The image of Exu in Brazilian society, because of religious racism, they have connected Exu to the devil, which it is complete. This is absolutely not. There's a lot to be said about that. Maybe I'll come back and do a story on the mythology associated with the gods, the deities in Afro-Brazilian mythology and the Candomblé religion. Let me see here. The rapper also chose the name Exu in recognition of the African Orisha that is well known in Brazilian religions of Candomblé and Umbanda. Of course, the blues part of this name comes from the musical genre created by Black Americans in the 19th century. Another photo of Baco Exu. His debut album is also called Exu, a rough spelling of the name of the Orisha in the Yoruba language. So it's Exu in Yoruba. In Brazil, it becomes Exu. The one that opens intro also cites the African god. I felt Exu, I became Exu, sings the rapper. Exu is the owner of the street. He was the one who came from there. His reign is from the Lida people. Messenger, he will help you, says the ending point of the song. The same happens on the second track, Abri Caminho, which means open the way. Open the way, let Exu pass. Excuse me, let karma of the scene pass. Don't get on the punk wheel without asking Exu. Don't get in the sea without asking Iemanjá, the female Orisha, the goddess of the sea. Disrespect the faith of the blacks. Know why I am Exu. So lyrics from one of his songs. Again, this is Baco Exu. By including Exu in his name, he saw things begin to advance in his career. Exu for me is the way. You are my guardian, my protector. He is who understands and punishes my mistakes and who celebrates and applauds my achievements. Feel me? It is he who gives me his hand, who helps me, who rules me. Exu to me is kind of everything, sums up the rapper. Okay. These are just the covers of his 4 LPs, CDs, or albums, if you prefer. Baco has earned the respect of fans as well as critics and toured extensively in support of his 4 studio albums and 2 EPs. His 4 studio albums include Exu 2018, Bluesman 2018, No Tem Bacanal na Quarentena 2020, and what is this? QVVJFA, meaning quantas vezes você já foi amado? How many times were you already loved? While his EPs are Old Monkey of 2015 and Direito de Hospício of 2017. His performances have taken him to major Brazilian cities such as Sao Paulo, Rio, Porto Alegre, and others, as well as a number of European countries, which include Spain, France, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. His works have also garnered him award nominations as well as victories at such ceremonies as the Festival de Publicidade de Cannes, the Cannes Festival in France, the Latin Grammy Awards, the MTV MIAW of Brazil, the Monte Show of Brazilian Music, and the APCA, or the Paulista Association of Art Critics Awards. So, Baco Exu do Blues is a well-recognized and respected rapper coming out of Brazil, one of the biggest sellers on Spotify. In 2000, he also had a short film called Bluesman, which I will talk about. In 2019, in a victory that made headlines in all of Brazil's major news outlets, Baco beat out Jay-Z and Beyonce at the Grand Prix of the Cannes Lions Festival with his short film Bluesman from the album of the same name. He took the award in the music category, beating out Jay and Bey's video for Ape Shit. Interestingly, this wasn't the first time Baco placed himself in the company of Jay and Bey, as he had also released a song called Me Desculpa Jay-Z, meaning excuse me Jay-Z, in which he acknowledges his admirations for the New York rapper, entrepreneur, and dreams of having his way with Miss Beyonce. Okay. This is, I think this is the 2020 album. I think it's his 3rd album, maybe. No Tem Bacanal na Quarentena. Speaking of Jigga Man, Jay-Z isn't the only reference to an American rapper referenced by Baco. If you take a look at Baco's album cover for his 2020 album, this one in the picture that I'm talking about, another American rapper may come to mind. Any idea which rapper and album cover that clearly influenced Baco's 3rd album? This image right here, what do you think? Who does this remind you of, or what does it remind you of? This one should be pretty easy. Let me see here. So Baco is consistently considered one of the top rappers in Brazil. So while you chew on that question I just asked you, I'll just end today's story by mentioning that Baco Exu do Blues is considered one of the most respected Brazilian rappers on the scene today, with his albums consistently being considered among the best of whatever year on that particular year in Brazil's music scene. I would need a whole other post to approach some of the topics of Baco's songs, but a few would be sufficient to know that they would definitely fit in with the content on this channel and the blog. His song Jovem Preto Rico, meaning rich young black man, deals with how he talks about how Brazil deals with black people that get rich. This is something that I've talked about before. The actresses Thais Araújo and Sharon Menezes both talked about how Brazilian society is just not ready for black women to have a different image that Brazil has always associated them with. You know, for centuries, decades, Brazil has always expected black women to bow their heads and be in the low positions, have just the basic jobs. They're supposed to be the cleaning lady or the cook. But what happens when these women rise in society? And it's difficult for Brazil to deal with not just black women, but just black Brazilians in general, when they're not in the lowly position and when they're looking at them face to face, eye to eye. It's hard for Brazilian society to deal with black people who rise, who ascend on the social ladder. It's like they're supposed to always, the lowest rung of Brazilian society is always supposed to be set aside for black Brazilians. So then Brazil has a problem dealing with it when black Brazilians rise and they're on, equal footing with the white population. The track Autoestima, meaning self-esteem, discusses the moral assaults on young black people in a racist society. In other songs, he deals with the effects of racism on the mental health of black Brazilians. So some really deep topics that Baco Exu do Blues talks about in his albums. As I said before, consistently, his albums are always considered one of the best of the year. Baco Exu do Blues is elected by the public as the best album out of Bahia in 2017. His next album, Bluesman, was elected the best album of the year by Rolling Stone Brazil magazine. Then you have in 2020, maybe, This third album was ranked number 20 on this particular website, and the following year, his 2022 album came in at number 21 in the year. So he's consistently considered one of the best artists of every year. His albums are always in the top 5, top 15, top 20, 25. So this is an artist that needs to be reckoned with, and he has the credentials to go along with it. Let me see. Baco Exu Blues is yet another example of the new Black Brazilian that is calling out Brazilian society and asking that it take a good look at itself. What else can we expect from the self-acclaimed Brazilian Kanye West? A Kanye West da Bahia. Baco Exu Blues releases an album for the fight against oppression. So I'm not sure. I think he might have given himself that name. He's calling himself the Brazilian Kanye West. And he causes a lot of controversy. He speaks out on things that the new Black Brazilian is not going to just sit in the corner and listen to, just accept the position that Brazilian society puts him in, right? Let me see here. Before I end the video, did you all manage to figure out the reference to the other legendary American rapper that Baco referenced on the cover of his 2020 album? So did you figure this out right here? Shouldn't be too difficult. I mean, when I first looked at it, I'm like, looks like he's trying to conjure up images of Notorious B.I.G.'s debut album in 1994, Ready to Die. If you look at it side by side with Biggie's album, it's kind of clear. I don't know why he chose a bear for the album cover, but you can see he has on the mask and this 70% alcohol. So this album was either recorded or released during the pandemic, right? Just a couple of the things I want to mention before I move on, before I end this video. Baco Exu Blues is considered by many Black women to be the standard of what type of Black man they want to get with. Right. There was a video I did a couple of weeks ago where a woman was talking about, think about maybe, was Baco the type of guy that women passed on when he was a kid? They overlooked him. As I've said before, Black Brazilian men and women have been indoctrinated to prefer whiteness when they choose a partner. Now that this man is who he is, he's successful, he's a good looking guy. A lot of women are asking themselves, is this one of the guys that they passed on when he was younger? Okay. So that's it was about 3 or 4, maybe 6 months ago. Baco's been associated with a number of women already. And one of those women is the well-known journalist Patricia Ramos. All right. I don't really ever know what came out of that. It just made headlines for a while where they were saying how, Baco was spotted out hanging out with Patricia Ramos. Right. Don't know what happened out of that. It just popped up in the media and then all of a sudden the story was gone. So only him and her know what went on with that. The other thing I want to mention here, this is the photo of the well-known actor Lázaro Ramos. It was only in 2011. This says here the first, o primeiro galã negro, meaning the first Black heartthrob. It was only in 2011 that a Black man was considered like the leading man, the womanizer on a novella, because it was always considered that's the place where white men are supposed to occupy. So this is what Baco said in the video, where he says, when I was growing up, all the novellas, the cool guy, the cool husband, the guy that all the girls wanted, it was always the white guy. And so this is what I'm saying. This has wreaked havoc on the self-esteem of the Black Brazilian population. And so then this speaks again to this question of palmitagem. Black Brazilian women and men pointing the finger at each other like, you have the white preference. No, you have the white preference. When I've been saying all along, it's not just Black men or Black women, it's both sides. I've analyzed this been one of the top topics I've had on the YouTube channel, as well as the blog, on Black men and with their relationships with Black women. A lot of Brazilians are ready to deal with this. The validation we want is usually white, which is why Black romantic relationships tend to be complex, because they've been indoctrinated to prefer whiteness. And this goes all back to the question of palmitagem again, this idea that Black Brazilians have a predilection to choose white people for partners. So if you listen to everything that Baco Exu Blues is talking about in the interview, this is all stuff that I've been talking about for a while. And it's only now that a lot of Black Brazilians are really starting to speak out after they realize what growing up in Brazil has done to them psychologically and how it affects their self-esteem. So anyway, wanted to bring that video to my followers. What did you think about this video? What do you think about Baco Exu Blues and what he said in the interview? Drop a comment in the comment section, like this video, share this video. So consider subscribing to this channel if you've checked out more than a few videos. Click on that notification bell so you know when I put up another video. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I post.